My name is Helen Martin. I'm 80 years old. I retired years ago, and I thought I was ready. I thought I understood money. I thought I understood time. I thought I understood myself. But retirement took more from my old life than I expected, and not all of it was bad. Some things vanished and gave me peace. Some things vanished and left me shaken. And honestly, I wish somebody had sat me down before I retired and told me the truth in plain English. I do not mean the polished version people give at luncheons or in retirement brochures. I mean the real version. The version you feel in your stomach at night when the paycheck stops. The version you notice on a Tuesday morning when nobody needs you anywhere by 9 o'clock. The version that shows up when your habits stay the same, but your life no longer does. I did not know it at the time, but retirement was not just about leaving work. It was about watching 12 parts of my old world disappear, one by one. Let me explain, because if you are close to retirement or already there, this may save you from making the same slow mistakes I made. I spent most of my adult life building. I built savings. I built a business. I built investment accounts. I built property income. I built routines so strong that my body could follow them half asleep. So when I finally stepped away from full-time work, I assumed the hard part was over. You see, I thought retirement would feel like a reward from the very first day. In some ways it did. In other ways, it felt like standing in a beautiful house with the furniture moved just enough to make me bump into everything. The first thing that vanished for me was my old risk tolerance. I still had years ahead of me. I still do. At 80, I do not live like a woman waiting to disappear. I plan trips. I mentor young women. I review my accounts. I plant tomatoes. I make dinner reservations. So yes, I still had a long horizon. But my stomach changed. That was the surprise. When I was younger, market drops felt uncomfortable, but they also felt temporary because I was still earning. I could add more money. I could buy through the decline. I could recover with fresh income. Once I retired, that feeling vanished. A drop in the market no longer looked like a sale. It looked like pain, real pain. I did not want to see my nest egg fall when I was no longer refilling it with work. And here's what I didn't understand then. My time horizon stayed long, but my emotional tolerance for loss got much shorter. That mattered. I had to adjust my thinking. I had to stop pretending I was still the same investor I was at 52. Honestly, that one change alone taught me that retirement planning is not only math, it is also emotion. The second thing that vanished was access to certain retirement tools. During my working years, I always had places to direct money. I had accounts to fund. I had systems. I had a reason to keep feeding them. Then work ended, and some of those doors quietly closed. I could not keep using every account the same way. I could not keep acting as if I still had earned income coming through the front door each month. Even health-related savings options can shift once your coverage changes later in life. Let me explain. Many people think retirement is just the moment work stops. It is not. It is also the moment some financial options vanish. If nobody warns you, you can drift into retirement still using yesterday's playbook. I almost did. That is dangerous because habits are powerful. I had spent decades saving automatically. When those channels changed, I had to become intentional all over again. I had to ask different questions. Where does new money go now? What accounts still fit my life? What rules changed without me noticing? Retirement rewards people who stay curious, because old systems do not stay useful forever. The third thing that vanished was revenue from work. Now, I am fortunate. I have dividend income, rental income, Social Security, and my husband Paul has pension and Social Security income too. I am not speaking from panic. I am speaking from truth. A paycheck has a psychological power that is hard to explain until it is gone. When I worked, I knew more money was coming because I was still producing. I could connect effort to income. After retirement, that link was broken. Money still came in, yes, but not in the same way. And you know what surprised me most? Monthly checks feel different from a pile of assets. A dependable check lets me breathe. It makes spending feel safer. It makes life feel supported. A large account balance can look impressive on paper, but I still know I carry the investment risk if that balance swings. A monthly income stream feels steadier. That is why I value reliable retirement income so much. I learned that freedom is not just having money. It is knowing some of it keeps showing up. There is comfort in predictability. There is peace in not having to guess whether next month will feel different. I used to think wealth alone created calm. Now I know dependable cash flow creates a special kind of calm too. The fourth thing that vanished was my old identity as a saver only. For decades, I trained myself to hold back. I lived on less. I delayed wants. I measured purchases. That discipline built my life. But then retirement asked me to do something that felt strange. It asked me to spend. It asked me to enjoy the money I had built. That sounds simple until you live it. Honestly, I was better at earning than enjoying. I could save with confidence. I could invest with patience. But spending on myself felt almost wrong at first. I would look at a trip, a dinner, a nicer hotel room, a longer stay, and my old mind would say, "No, keep it." You see, nobody tells disciplined people that retirement can require a new muscle. I had to learn to use my spending muscle without guilt. I had to practice rewarding myself. A nicer trip with Paul, a flight that was easier on my back, a meal in a place I had always wanted to try, fresh flowers just because I liked them. I did not know it at the time, but learning to spend wisely in retirement was just as important as learning to save when I was young. Saving gave me security. Spending with purpose gave me enjoyment. I needed both. One built the life. The other finally let me live it. The fifth thing that vanished was the luxury of endless someday. This one hit me deeply. When I was younger, I could say, "Someday we'll go. Someday I'll rest. Someday I'll take that class. Someday I'll spend a whole month away." Retirement changed the weight of that word. Someday started sounding fragile. Let me explain. Health changes, energy changes, partners change, life changes. At 80, I understand this in my bones. If I have the health, the money, the interest, and the chance to do something meaningful now, I do not automatically delay it anymore. I have seen too much. I have watched strong people slow down suddenly. I have watched plans get moved back until they vanished. I have watched windows close. And here's what I didn't understand then. Money in retirement is not only for safety, it is also a tool for using your remaining good years well. I still believe in being prudent. I do not believe in worshiping delay. I want fewer regrets now, not more. Some of the best memories Paul and I made came from finally saying yes while we still could. Not perfectly, not extravagantly, just in time. That matters more than many people realize. The sixth thing that vanished was the illusion that I could be careless about healthcare planning. If retirement begins before certain age-based coverage starts, or if healthcare changes at any stage, the cost of being unprepared can be brutal. I knew this from years in business and finance, but retirement made it personal. I had to think clearly about coverage, premiums, timing, doctors, prescriptions, and what would happen if something serious came up. Honestly, one health event without proper protection can do damage that takes years to repair. I worked too long to build security, only to risk losing it through poor planning. So I became even more serious about coverage and protection. I tell people this now because I do not want them treating healthcare like a side note. It is not a side note. It guards the nest egg you may have spent 40 years building. It also protects your choices. Good coverage can mean better treatment, less panic, and fewer terrible money decisions made under stress. The seventh thing that vanished was my constant rushing. This may be the sweetest change of all. For so many years I lived by clocks. I woke early. I moved quickly. I watched the hour. I packed the day. I measured what got done. I was always going somewhere or preparing for somewhere. Then retirement came, and that constant pressure began to fade. Not all at once, but it faded. And honestly, the peace of that surprised me. I can sit with tea in the morning now. I can watch the garden wake up. I can finish a thought before chasing the next task. I can leave the house without feeling I am already late for something. You see, I did not realize how much of my body had been trained to hurry. Retirement gave me back slowness. It gave me room. It gave me breath. It gave me mornings that belonged to me. That is not a small gift. That is a major change in the soul. The eighth thing that vanished was easy recognition. Work gives people a strange kind of nourishment. If I did my job well, someone noticed. Someone thanked me. Someone depended on me. Someone said my name in a room and meant it with respect. Then retirement came, and that stream of recognition dried up fast. I felt that more than I expected. I had built a business. I had advised people. I had solved problems. I had mattered in visible ways. Then one day I was simply home. Still valuable, yes. Still wise, yes. But not automatically affirmed. You know what surprised me most? I had to learn where to find appreciation after work stopped giving it to me. I had to notice it in family, friendship, service, faith, and my own private standards. I also had to get better at expressing appreciation to others, because retirement taught me that mutual recognition matters. It is not childish. It is human. Some people lose work and then quietly lose confidence too. I understand why. When the outside world stops clapping, I have to know who I am without the noise. The ninth thing that vanished was my old routine. I may not have loved every part of my work schedule, but it gave shape to my life. I knew when to wake up. I knew what came next. I knew what the day was for. Retirement removed the easy routine. That sounds freeing, and it is, but it can also be dangerous. A day with no structure can quietly become a week with no structure, then a month, then a year that feels blurry. I did not want that. So I built a new routine on purpose. I centered it around my health, my relationships, and my wealth. I move my body. I call the people I love. I handle my money in a contained way instead of letting it consume my day. Let me explain. I do not stare at financial news for hours. I do not need to spend my freedom becoming a full-time worrier. I check what needs checking, then I live. That was a lesson, a powerful one. Retirement is better when I design my days instead of drifting through them. A gentle routine keeps me steady. It protects my energy. It gives shape to freedom without turning freedom back into a prison. The 10th thing that vanished was a whole set of work relationships. I do not mean every relationship disappeared. Some people stayed in my life. But many relationships belong to the old structure. They were built around meetings, deadlines, roles, referrals, and shared pressure. Once work ended, many of those connections faded. I felt that loss. I missed familiar voices. I missed being in circulation. I missed being part of an active network. And here's what I didn't understand then. Relationships in retirement do not maintain themselves. I had to replace some of what work used to provide. I had to invest in friendship with intention. I had to keep showing up. Book club, church, volunteering, calls with old friends, lunches, travel, family visits. Relationships are not a decoration in retirement. They are support beams. Without them, life can get lonely fast. And loneliness does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it just looks like too many quiet days in a row. The 11th thing that vanished was a heavy layer of responsibility, and I do not miss it. For years, I carried the weight of decisions that affected income, staff, clients, deadlines, and outcomes. I was good at it, but it sat on my shoulders. Even after I sold my business, that sense of responsibility stayed in me for a while like a habit. Then retirement slowly peeled some of it away. I no longer had to solve every problem by Tuesday. I no longer had to hold together systems that depended on me all day long. Honestly, that release helped my body. Stress is expensive. It charges the heart. It charges sleep. It charges mood. I still care deeply about the people I love, but not carrying business pressure anymore has been one of the healthiest changes of my later life. I sleep softer now. I breathe better. I think more clearly. I laugh more easily. That is what less pressure can do when a person has carried too much for too long. The 12th thing that vanished was restriction. Work puts fences around a life. It tells me where to be, when to be there, how long to stay, and what must come first. Retirement removed many of those fences. I can travel without asking permission. I can spend a weekday at the lake house. I can read longer. I can dance in the afternoon. I can say yes to lunch and no to nonsense. That freedom is beautiful, but it also asks for wisdom. Too much freedom without purpose can become emptiness. I learned that slowly. I learned that retirement is not only about being free from something, it is about being free for something. For peace, for relationships, for stewardship, for joy, for rest, for presence, for legacy. Once I understood that, retirement stopped feeling like an ending and started feeling like a season I could actually live well. There was one more hard truth underneath all 12 of these changes. I expected retirement to feel natural just because I had planned for it financially. That was my mistake. Money helps, of course, but retirement is also an identity shift. It asks new questions. Who am I when my title is gone? How do I spend a morning well? What makes me feel useful now? What do I protect, and what do I release? I ask those questions quietly, over tea, while checking an account, and while sitting beside Paul in silence. Honestly, retirement did not only test what I had built, it tested whether I knew how to live once I had more life to use. That is why these 12 things matter. They are the shape of the transition itself. So if I could sit across from you at my dining table and tell you one thing, it would be this. Retirement does not just remove work. It removes old patterns, old reassurances, old pressures, and old illusions. Some vanish and make life sweeter. Some vanish and leave a hole you need to fill on purpose. I wish I had understood that earlier. I wish I had known that risk would feel different, income would feel different, spending would feel different, and time would feel different too. I wish I had known that peace and loneliness can both grow in the same season if I am not careful. But I know it now, and that is why I am telling you. If this sounded like your life, or the life you think may be coming, then stay close. Leave me a comment and tell me which of these changes you fear most, or which one already surprised you after retirement. I read those comments because I know how easy it is to feel invisible at this age, and I do not want you walking through this season alone. And if hearing this from a woman who has lived it helps you sort your own thoughts, then subscribe and come back. I share these things because I earned these lessons the slow way, and I would rather hand them to you plainly than let you learn every one by pain. Retirement can be good. It can be very good. But it is better when we tell each other the truth about it. And if you are still wondering whether waiting too long to retire could be a mistake, keep going with me. That is the next conversation I would have with you.